My recent videos have been about wealth, and that's because we doctors, we don't really do well with money. So I have been going through some series of training in terms of wealth and also making some research on YouTube, where I came across one video in alox.com. It's a YouTube channel that gives a lot of lessons about riches. And I came across a video titled 15 Sacrifices You Need to Make If You Want to Be Rich. And when I went through the video, I realized that as a medical doctor, somehow, doctors have made the sacrifices. And it led me to a conclusion that it would be easier for doctors if they apply the right knowledge and expertise to be rich. So if you're a doctor that wants to be rich, here are 15 sacrifices that I think will not be difficult for you to make. And that's because of two reasons. The first is that you had probably made them already. And the second one is that even if you've not made some of them, you can easily make them because of the kind of training that you've gone through already as a medical doctor. Even if you're not a medical doctor, I believe that you're going to learn something from this video too. So if this is something that you're interested in, let's dive in.
Hey there, my friend. Now in this video, we're going to be looking at reality, not wishful thinking, okay? We recommend rewatching this video at least once every month in order to not lose track of what it takes.
So this is reality, it's hard truth. And as medical doctors, our training is not sugar-coated. We are faced with the realities of life, health, and everything. So this is something that I can easily relate to. I will leave the link in the description box too, so that you can access the video to be watching it on your own and draw whatever lesson you're going to draw from it. Let's continue.
Because the truth is, in order to get rich or super successful, there are plenty of sacrifices to be made. Success or riches always come at a cost, and if you're on your journey to getting them for yourself, well, it's best to be aware of these and plan accordingly. Because getting rich is not for everyone. You're free to live a mediocre life if that's what you want. We're not going to pretend that life is filled with rainbows and sunshine, because it isn't. Hopefully at the end of this video, when you look at someone who's incredibly successful or rich, you'll give it a second thought and think of the sacrifices they've made to get to where they are today.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. Good things don't come on a platter of gold. There are sacrifices that have been made. If it was easy to be rich, everybody's going to be rich. So we have to ask ourselves the question that if we want to be rich, will we be able to make these particular sacrifices? We must not be rich as doctors, because we have decent enough salaries to live the life we want to live decently and get out. But if you want to be rich as a medical doctor, I think you should brace up for these sacrifices, yeah.
If you're one of those easily offended types, and this is the first video you're watching on our channel, well, this is your cue to close the video and go watch something else.
Doctors are not easily offended, or else they won't practice medicine. So we can take it with our full chest.
The following list is based on the average reality of multiple multimillionaires and billionaires from multiple countries and cultures, aggregated into a single list. But there isn't a single individual out there who made it big without making at least some of these sacrifices to get to where they are today. So with that said, here are 15 things people sacrifice in order to get rich. Welcome to Alux, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. So starting off at number 1, family. Now we wanted to start with family because this is the last thing people want to hear that they'll have to sacrifice. Many successful individuals postpone starting a family for a later date. They start one only after they've accumulated success. This is probably one of the most important sacrifices one makes in order to be rich. The road to financial success demands so much focus and effort put into it that it would be almost impossible to achieve the same level of greatness. If you're being sidetracked by personal feelings, well, that's just the truth. Successful people don't get married early on, almost never in their 20s, and for sure they don't have children as soon as the rest. We've touched on this in the past, how having a kid early on is pretty much financial self-destruction, trapping you into the rat race in order for you to acquire wealth. This process needs your undivided attention. The moment one has a child, that child immediately becomes the focus point, and everything else falls behind, as it should be. Now, a third aspect that gets sacrificed is the relationship with your family. Parents and siblings require time, effort, and sometimes financial resources as well. all which you are not in a position to spare in the beginning stages of your journey. So if you're serious about getting rich, it sucks to say that you won't be available for your relatives, but you're not going to focus on building a family for yourself at this stage of your life. And that's why you'll postpone having a child. This is one of the harshest realities of which most successful and rich individuals sacrifice in order to get there.
That's actually a hard one. But the truth is, as doctors, we've already sacrificed our families to train, to even graduate from med school. You were not a lovey-dovey family kind of person. Your family understood that you were unavailable almost all the time. Many of us didn't even get into relationships, or even if we were in relationships then, we were not really as committed to them. Most of us don't marry, especially the males. For females in Nigeria where I trained, a few got married, but most ladies didn't marry till well after med school. For the males, you can't marry. What do you want to feed your family with? So this sacrifice is something that I believe we had already done, and it will not be too difficult for us to also do that if need be to grow the wealth. What do you think?
Number 2, health. Now, we've always mentioned health as one of the most important ingredients to a successful life, but this video focuses on getting rich. The paradox is that most people sacrifice health in order to get money, and then they sacrifice money in order to regain their health. We don't like to believe the iconic image of the entrepreneur working 16 hours a day, hitting the gym for 2 more hours, eating kale and meditating for at least 1 hour in the morning. But the truth is, the road to riches will take a toll on your health. The most common feeling is that of tiredness, because most individuals have difficulty falling asleep. The goal keeps you up at night. There are worries to consider, and everything depends on your ability to manage them. Entrepreneurs live with a tremendous amount of stress in their lives. They usually neglect their health in the pursuit of happiness.
So you see, this is something that training in med school and even residency training require this from you. You give up everything, even at the expense of your health. Many times you don't sleep, you stay overnight. When you're working too, many times you don't sleep, like you sacrifice sleep. Even while you're sick, you come in for your duties and the rest. These are things that we started learning very early on, and it's something that you carry on in the course of your profession too. So when it comes to this particular demand, especially when you enter the financial world, it's not going to be too difficult for you to sacrifice that. You're already a natural. You have already been built to sacrifice that easily. Abby, let's continue with number 3.
Number 3, friends. There is very little room for a social life when you really want to be rich. One of the first things you should sacrifice if you want to make it is the people around you who are not pushing you further. Cutting down on the toxic individuals is a must, then followed by those who are not actively making you better. It's fairly common for successful people to dramatically reduce their inner circle with a focus on the quality of individuals.
I don't know for other people, but from the part that I come from, there are people that were very close to when we started med school that we weren't as close to again. There's some that we've even totally stopped communicating with. These people are people that wouldn't really, or they don't contribute to our progress in our journey as medical students, or somehow impede it too. But those that understand, we've been able to maintain that. So when it comes to identifying people that are going to help you in your financial journey, or those that are going to impede you, it will be easier for you to cut them off because you had started doing that too. Let's continue with this point, Sha.
The average future millionaire has 1.8 close friends, and they themselves are also focused on getting rich. That way, they can push each other further along the way. You need people who can relate to your struggles and who can understand why they're putting in this kind of effort. Nobody else is going to understand, with the exception of individuals who they themselves are doing the same thing. If you really want to make it, your inner circle should decrease in size, but increase in value.
Exactly. As I said, it's true. So most of the people we carry are people that relate to our dreams and further improve on them too. I have way more friends than 1.8, but they are not as much as before I started medical school, and it's been shrinking too, because to a large extent you just keep adequate contact with those that align with where you're going to and are contributing positively to it, and you two are also contributing positively to them. Like minds will always flock together. So let's still continue.
Number 4, hobbies. Hobbies, by their nature, produce very little value to both yourself and your immediate environment. Not only that, in order to maintain a hobby, it demands time, attention, and most of the time, financial resources as well.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's one harsh truth that we just have to accept. Most of our hobbies are not adding any financial value to us. There are some that are lucky that get paid by doing their hobbies. They are not as much. So if you want to be rich, many of these hobbies that are not giving you any financial value, you just have to drop them. This YouTube thing is not just a hobby. I'm learning and I'm also monetized. So I'm gaining some money too in the course of it. So it's not just a hobby. I remember when I started med school, I could do a lot of things. I could draw, I could sing, I could do plenty of things, but I've lost my drawing ability in the course of being in med school. Many of my secondary school peers are surprised that I can't draw again. There's a particular hobby that I still held on to, and that's my guitar ability. But in the course of being a doctor too, I've been playing the guitar less and less often, and that's because you're focused on other things that are pushing you ahead. So yeah, you should be able to sacrifice that too. You don't have that convenience, and med school has made a lot of people to just drop their hobbies. You don't have time. You're focused on reading, passing your exams, and also focused on working too. So hobbies are not things that you clung to as a doctor, and they are things that you won't still cling to if you want to pursue this financial success.
If you want to be rich and you're not where you want to be in life, you can't afford to have a hobby. That's just the truth. You can go golfing, paint landscapes, or whatever you find worthy of calling your hobby after you've taken care of the basics. Why do you have a hobby when you can't take care of yourself? Hobbies should be the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, hobbies should be the last thing on your mind. These are really harsh truths, yeah. They are really harsh truths. But let's continue.
Number 5, time. The road from zero to financial success will take an average of 7 to 10 years depending on the industry. Your emotional intelligence, your intellect, your ability to play the market, and the volume of work you're able to put out in order to make it happen. And guess what? The days you spend at your computer or negotiating with clients are probably not going to be the best years of your life, but it's a sacrifice, one that needs to be made if you're serious about getting rich, because it's that time that yields the results you're looking for. 7 years might sound like a lot of time, and it doesn't mean that those years will lack any kind of positive memory.
For medical doctors, the average duration of medical training is 7 to 8 years, depending on where you come from. This is something that we know has significantly changed us. We are not the same people we were when we entered med school and after we graduated. We know how profound that can be, and that required a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time being put into this particular training. So when it comes to pursuing something that's going to make you financially successful, I think this is not something that it will be so difficult for us to sacrifice, because we are giving it for medicine. So this one now, we'll give it. It's not hard. I'll be doctors.
Time will pass either way, so make sure to invest it wisely. Ask yourself the following question. Are you willing to eat shit for several years in order to eat caviar for the rest of your life?
It's something that we had already done in med school. We had eaten them, and we're where we are. Medicine is not for the weak. Let's continue.
Well, if the answer is yes, you're on the right track. Number 6, sadly, is happiness. Happiness is a big one because, as you know, money can't buy you happiness in the end. But in order to get that money in the first place, you will need to sacrifice some of your happiness to a certain degree. And this is true even if you love what you do.
I think doctors, this is not alien to us at all. It isn't. We've sacrificed our happiness to be where we are at this point in time.
Nobody is happy working 14 to 16 hours every single day. That is not how evolution designed us. So there needs to be a balance between the amount of happiness you're willing to sacrifice in exchange for material gain. If you sacrifice too much, you might not be able to cope with your new reality. Now, this video is not a to-do list of some kind. It's a frank observation of reality, and you should treat it as such. Sacrificing your happiness at this stage will result in you being able to enjoy different types of happiness in the future, like being able to spend quality time with your child when the time is right, because you won't have to worry about paying the freaking bills every month. That's a trade you should be willing to make.
Are doctors happy? I think it's a video for another day. I'm going to make a video on that too. Let's continue.
And at number 7, we've got another controversial one. Sleep. Now, you can't sleep, okay? Broke people sleep. You've got to be willing to sacrifice some sleep.
There was a discussion group that I was in, and one of the motto they know me for is that I usually say sleep is for the weak. They will ask me why am I not asleep? I'll just answer sleep is for the weak. If you love sleep, medicine is not for you. I had done a video on that, a reaction video in which one doctor stated that if you love sleep, you won't be a successful doctor. Even if you struggle with sleep, you cannot be sleeping like other people too. So this is a sacrifice you've made as a doctor to be where you are today. And I think you can sacrifice that further to be where you want to be too. So it's not alien at all, Abby. Sleep is for the weak.
Sleep is for billionaires. That's an interesting quote, isn't it? In recent years, people are pretty split on this topic, right? You've got people like Elon Musk who sleep the absolute minimum amount required to get him to function, and then there are people like Arianna Huffington. She's the founder of Huffington Post, for those of you who don't know who she is. She says sleeping more results in higher productivity and nobody should cut down on sleep. Sleeping less is an amazing advantage if you make quality use of the time while you're awake. There's no point in sleeping 5 hours a night if you're only going to be working 8 hours during the day. Sleep is the first thing anyone should sacrifice when they begin their journey. 6 hours of sleep a night is really manageable, and you can fit a lot more work in during the day.
Okay, let me contextualize this. There's a time that your body can be able to recover from poor sleep. That's usually when you're younger compared to when you're getting old. But you need adequate sleep for your body to properly function. The thing that is being called is that when you need to be more productive, you could be able to sacrifice this sleep to do what needs to be done. It's not that you should be sleeping less and then the extra time that you had sacrificed the sleep for is totally useless. No, it doesn't make sense in that way. And then still find time to rest. You'll be able to survive that. I've lived sleepless nights a lot and I'm still alive. Let's continue.
So start by trimming that sleep. Number 8, who you are. Hey Luxor, if you want to be rich, you want to be successful, you need to sacrifice who you are in order to become who you want to be. It's pretty smart to think of yourself in terms of a work in progress. Similar to software, this is your current version, but don't be afraid to make updates. Fix bugs and reiterate whatever makes you, you. Your current reality didn't make you rich. The current version of you wasn't able to solve the puzzles needed to further your achievements from a financial standpoint, so you need to do something about it. Evaluate who you really are. What are the things that set you back? What are the things that the current version of yourself failed to do? Then, seek ways to transform yourself in that department. An easy aspect to point out is discipline. Because if you lack discipline, you're probably never going to be successful. Poor people always lack discipline. This is because success in any form comes from repetitive actions which add up over time. Unless you can discipline yourself, you won't stand a chance.
As I said earlier, we are not the people we were when we started med school and after we graduated. There are many things that we couldn't handle then that eventually handled. I remember when we started clinical medicine then, a lot of people were losing consciousness because of standing for a longer time during ward rounds. And this usually happens in 400 level. You don't see any final year student or 600 level student falling during ward rounds. It doesn't happen. The same people will now become tougher. I had an experience the first time I went into the anatomy lab to see the cadavers then. It was really a frightening experience. At a point in time, it became a normal thing to us. So many people could swear that they won't be able to do this. Medicine changes it. It pushes you. There are a lot of things you thought you couldn't be able to handle that medicine will force you to be able to handle them. You realize that being who you are is not enough. You need to upgrade. And when it comes to this financial knowledge too and financial success, since you've already had that experience, it will not be too difficult for you to upgrade yourself in order to achieve this now.
Number 9, entertainment. So after sleep, this is the second thing people who want to get rich should sacrifice. There's no need for you to sit down and watch 10 episodes of Friends. There is no value in that, okay? Poor people always justify wasting time in one form or another. If you're just starting out, as we know most of you are, immediately cut out the low and medium levels of entertainment in your life. Unless you're a professional esports player, there's no need for you to be spending time playing video games. There's no need for you to watch sports or TV for that matter at all, unless you're the one on TV. There's no need for you to be on social media unless you're running a media business. This is not a video on how to be happy in life, okay? This is a video on what it takes to get rich. You need all of your creative power and working hours to be put in and compounded into you achieving your goal. You can't half-ass this, okay? Because if you half-ass it, you're gonna fail.
It's true. It's very true. I watched a lot of movies when I was in med school. I was even a movie plug also. But we just know that for that time we spend, we must compensate for that. So it minimized the degree of entertainment we could afford. We cut down on quite a lot of things too. And even as I have become a doctor now, I don't even watch as much movies as I did when I was a medical student. Because unlike med school, that patient care really didn't affect you. Your own is to pass your exams. Now, for every negligence, it could cost someone his life or will reduce the quality of his or her life too. So you have to be very careful and make sure that you are totally dedicated to whatever you're doing. I can count how many movies I've watched this year, which is way less than what I did last year. It's like every year it's just becoming less because you have more things to focus on. So if you love entertainment and want to maintain that one, it's not going to work for you. And for doctors, sacrificing this is already easy for you to do if you want to still continue in that path. Let's continue. We'll reach number 10 now. Wow.
Number 10, stability. Getting rich is a roller coaster. It'll take a lot of ups and downs until you reach the destination. You don't know what tomorrow holds, and you don't have the luxury of being at ease. You need to move yourself, to position yourself, to meet new people, to negotiate your own reality, and provide for yourself.
You see, this is just familiar to us because medical training is like that. Medical practice is like that too. It's an emotional and medical roller coaster. Depends on your department. Some things are just unpredictable, especially in emergency medicine and obstetrics and gynecology. Things can just suddenly change. This thing is something that doctors can really relate to because it's our everyday life. So we've prepared for that too. If things go this way, we know how to follow the thing, go down that way. We know how to augment these things. Doctors, I think you're getting more convinced. You've seen that 10 out of the 15 sacrifices are already things that it wouldn't be so difficult for you to sacrifice them in order to pursue what you want to pursue now. So we've already gotten over the pass mark. Let's continue and see if we're going to get 15 over 15, Sha.
Since nobody's going to go get it for you, if you believe your environment is keeping you from being successful, sacrifice it, okay? Move somewhere else. You are in control of this ride. If it doesn't work out, you're the only one who's to blame. Although the journey is a roller coaster, the ride is worth it, so get busy. Number 11, income. You might not like to hear this, but until you make it big, you need to sacrifice your share of the income. You put it right back into the business or project until you make it. There's just no other way, all right? You're not going to be a baller while you're still pushing toward it. Every single dollar needs to be carefully planned out where it should have the most impact to go toward. And usually, yourself, you are pretty far down the list unless you're going to use that money to develop your own set of skills.
Now, this is something that I don't think most of us doctors can relate to. And that's because we're poor when it comes to this financial knowledge and discipline. And the truth is that most of this money does not even go to us. It goes to other people. And the way we've sacrificed ourselves in the course of medicine, sacrifice a lot of things. You don't even have the time to spend on yourself also. I think with the right knowledge and right trick, it wouldn't be too difficult for you to make the appropriate sacrifices too in terms of investment and be able to gather enough assets. In as much as this one is not really as relatable as the previous ones, we could quite adjust to it too if we wish to do so actually.
This is just reality, okay? Whenever you see people flaunting their purchases without them being where they want to be in life, we feel bad for them as they're actively sabotaging themselves here.
I had done a video in which I listed reasons why doctors are poor, and part of the reasons why doctors are poor is because of the pressure to live a particular lifestyle that does not favor us financially. So the truth is that you have to learn to make that difficult sacrifice. You and your family members have to learn to live below your means. So all this flamboyant thing is a doctor, he can buy this, he can do that, she can do that, blah, 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 like that. We just have to learn to adjust appropriately and learn to gather assets instead of liabilities. If you had not watched that video, the link is in the description box. You could watch it. I expounded on that better in the video. Let's continue.
Number 12, comfort. Unless you're born rich, you'll have to struggle to get there and sacrifices need to be made. The simplest way is to sacrifice comfort and then use the cash to accelerate your growth. It is mind-boggling how many people blow away their money on meaningless things that they perceive as comfort.
I had done a video in which I talked about how I blew my money during house job, and this is the reason. In order to be comfortable, I needed a more comfortable phone, needed a more comfortable laptop. I made some kind of stupid decisions that cost me eventually. We have to learn to make proper sacrifices. But also, in terms of comfort, training in med school was not comfortable. Residency training too is not comfortable. We just have to make the appropriate or the right decisions and the right call to avoid biting more than we can chew financially now. So this one too is not something we're really familiar with in terms of finances, but we could adjust appropriately. I think we could do that too.
You don't need that new iPhone. Your old one still works perfectly fine. You don't need to live in a big house or apartment in your 20s. Cut down on rent and use the remaining cash somewhere productive. Poor people stay poor by trying to look rich, while rich people are busy getting richer by acting like they're poor.
Even your family can put that pressure on you. Sometimes it's the spouse that you marry that could put that pressure on you, or the family you marry into to try to act in a particular way. So you just have to learn to live below your means and use the extra money that you've been able to save to make proper decisions. You would in the long run be able to help them way more than what you're trying to do now. Learn to cut down expectations. It really helps you.
Many highly successful individuals refer to this period as their ramen phase. It's the time when you cut down on comfort so much, you survive on the bare minimum. There's no need for comfort. Get yourself some ramen noodles and get to work. Number 13, the need to be liked. Disagreeable people are a lot more likely to become rich and successful than agreeable people. This is a fact, okay, not an opinion. In order for people to like you, one needs to sacrifice oneself for the good of the other. That's how it works. But who's seeing growth and who isn't? This doesn't mean you should become an asshole or anything, okay? It just means you need to focus on yourself first and sacrifice the need to be liked by others. If others will like you for who you are and what you're doing, that's fine, but you'll never go out of your way to make that happen.
This one is difficult because in medical practice, you cannot afford for your patients and your co-workers, which include doctors and other health workers, not to like you. You're working as a team. So this is something that would work in the business world or would not really work in the medical setting. This one is quite difficult I don't know how to comment on that, but it's a hard truth. You have to make the hard calls and the rest. But in medicine, you're not a unit. You're working as a team. So you have to put in mind that you have people that are working with you to achieve a particular goal, and the patient too has to be satisfied with what you're doing. So this one, if anybody has anything to say on this one, let me know in the comment section how we could be able to balance as medical doctors. But when it comes to finances, you have to make that particular call.
Getting rich is about getting the job done, not by being the most popular person in the room. Number 14, pride. You do what you have to do to make it happen. If you're too proud to work at a fast food joint through the night while you're working on a project, you'll never be able to make it, because pride is counterproductive. You don't need to think of what other people will think of you, mostly because people will only really care about themselves anyway. You do you, okay? Maintain focus on your goals, on your objective, and make your dream become a reality. Trust us when we say everybody respects the winner. You just have to get there. So put your head down, sacrifice the pride you have, and make it happen for yourself and your future family. That is how you win.
You know, one of the common misconceptions people have about doctors is that doctors are proud. We're proud people. I've met a lot of proud doctors. I've met doctors that treated me as if I was a nobody. Anytime you even approach them and they don't know you're a doctor, they will just show that side of them. So it makes me relate to what quite a lot of patients or patients' relatives complain about doctors. Doctors can be quite proud. It doesn't work for me. That's how I see my medical training. I'm called to serve. I have the knowledge and the expertise to make someone better. So I'm called to serve you. And a servant will not be a proud person when you cannot be proud in front of whom you're serving. It's something really that I try to avoid, pride, because even with my Christian setting, the Bible says God despises the proud. So anything that will make me proud, I push it far away from me. So this one, I think, is something that I can really push to do. Whatever needs to be done to get the job done, even if it's at the expense of my pride, I'll do it for the greater good. I don't know how many people can say that, but since it's a quality, I think I'll pass this one too. God helping me. Now to the last point. Wow, today's video is quite long.
And number 15, immediate desires. People are always seeking immediate gratification from even the slightest of efforts. That's what makes the difference between those who are going to make it and those who just want to portray the image that they are. If you stick to the plan, put in consistent amounts of work and improvement, you're bound to see positive results. The process here is pretty linear. As soon as you get that first glimpse of success, it's easy to fall into the trap of congratulating yourself for the lap instead of focusing on winning the race. What usually happens is while you're busy fulfilling immediate desires, you stray off course and end up with that small win as your highest point. Do you want a small win or do you want a big win? Stay focused, Aluxer. These are the current rules of the game of money. You are probably hoping for an easy fix, but the truth is that people who do make it to that level are highly intelligent individuals who are driven, disciplined, focused, and they sacrifice almost everything for their career journey. The expense for the success you seek is a great one. So think twice if you really want it and what you're willing to do to achieve it. And Aluxer, rewatch this video and see how you can improve yourself at least a little in some of these aspects. We really hope you'll be able to see the value in this video. And if you do, share it with someone who's got the same mindset as you do.
So we have little wins. All those small tests you pass or the exams you write and you pass in 100 level, you know that there's 200 level exams. That's how you keep going. You now pass primaries, you know that there's residency and then part 1 and part 2. You just know the little wins are just for you to relax a bit and move on. You focus on the bigger wins, the bigger picture. Sometimes you write a test, pass, but you're already focusing on the next test or exams that's coming the following day. These are the things that happen irrespective of your previous experience. You just forge ahead with the other one. Medical training also teaches us this one. So I think overall, an average medical doctor should score at least 12 of the 15, maybe 11 or 12 of the 15 so far. The other ones are things that it's not going to be too difficult for us to sacrifice per se, except for the proud ones, So, what do you think about today's video? It's quite a long one. If you stayed with me to this point, wow, well done. And whatever you learned, let me know in the comment section. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you love what I do and want to remain here, click on the subscribe button. Thank you, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.